Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our October 3rd, 2025 ecologiQ Innovation Showcase. Whilst you're making your way through the virtual front door, my name is Doyle Lee. I'm the industry manager with ecologiQ, and along with me for today's event, I have Lauren Rowett, also manager industry and engagement. He'll be supporting me on this today's event. So, firstly, thank you for coming along and to our innovation showcase. I think we've got a terrific lineup of presenters to talk to you about their circular products and services, which the whole point of this is obviously, hopefully, it's of interest to you and you can engage with them. And along with me, I have a couple of expert panelists from the Department of Transport, from our Victorian Infrastructure Delivery Authority as well, to help us sort of frame and provide some advice and guidance to some of these businesses. So. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge, although we're meeting virtually, that we still meet on traditional lands. So for me, I'm dialing into you from the lands of the Bunurong people of the Eastern Kulin Nations. I like to acknowledge their elders past, present, and emerging, and any Aboriginal or First Nations people that we might have with us here on the call today. The theme of today's event, we talk about the circular economy. It's probably known to most of you, but if not, I will cover that in a moment. But I think I prefer reframing it as, really caring for country, which is something that our traditional owners did for thousands of years so well. And here we are today, trying to I suppose, reinvent the wheel a little bit by calling it a circular economy and really caring for our resources, and being, better integrated with the lands in which we live. So for me, just a little bit of a sentiment for every time I talk about acknowledgement. That's where that really resonates with me, and hopefully I can share that with you today as well. So, if you haven't been to one of these before and you haven't heard of ecologiQ, we're a Victorian Government initiative. So, it's a program that's been in place since 2020, and ecologiQ is here to really help transition Victoria towards what we call a circular economy. So, and one way that we do that is through the Recycle First policy, which I'll talk about in a moment. But when we talk about a circular economy, we're really talking about being much smarter with how we use not our waste, but our resources. So, I don't think we need to convince anyone here that to extract, use, and dispose of is a great business model. If there's a way that we can keep all our products and our resources in use, whether it's repairing, reusing, avoiding using it in the first place where we can, and then recycling and repurposing it as other materials, which is sort of where we've been, and having landfill really only as the last priority, I think that makes perfect sense. And I don't think anyone here would disagree that that's a great way to have a healthy and thriving economy and planet. So, but how we're going about doing that is through the Recycle First policy. So, just for a little bit of an introduction, how the policy works is that it's been applied to the transport projects here in Victoria for the last going to 5 years now. So, our road and rail and tunneling projects, all those projects have at the start of their project procurement looked at how they can optimize the use of recycled materials. We talk about optimize because these materials need to perform, be safe, cost, and make sense from a carbon perspective as well. So it's not about having the tunnel vision of use recycled materials at all costs. And then secondly, as these projects are in delivery, they've actually been reporting on the quantity of materials used to date. And that's given us a lot of terrific insight into practices and opportunities, and also hopefully developing end markets for businesses like those that are here today to talk to you about some of their goods and services also. Um, Over the last 5 years, our projects have used 5.6 million tonnes of recycled materials, but they've been reused or recycled on Victorian road, rail, and tunnelling projects. If you're in Victoria and you caught the game last week, it's enough to fill 2.2 mcgs. So, that's a lot of materials that we've been able to divert from landfill and keep in good use. So, but enough about that. Today is all about our showcase, and to help me with some of our presenters, I've assembled a team of experts. So, without further delay, I'd like to introduce Sven from the Department of Transport. Sven, did you want to say hello to the audience and maybe what you do?
Yeah, so I'm currently acting manager materials assurance. In my day job, I look after the quarry and recycler accreditation for the Department of Transport and Planning, so that every quarry and recycled material for pavements on our works needs to come from an accredited source. So we go out there, have a look at places, take samples. We've got about 100 quarries throughout Victoria and an increasing number of recyclers, probably upwards of 50 by now, fortunately. that we look at and accredit and test. And yeah, fortunately, there's a lot of materials, including crushed concrete, bricks, and other rock-like materials that can go into pavements nowadays. And increasingly, we use these materials, and yeah, that's a good thing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sven, and thank you for taking the time to come and join us at today's event. Tracy, Senior Manager for Sustainable Infrastructure with Major Road Projects Victoria.
It is quite a long title, so thank you, Di. And I've managed to make it in the room. So I'm Tracy. I work for Vida Roads. Might just change that. So recent rebrand, so looking after decarbonisation and the rollout of the decarbonisation strategy across the roads portfolio.
Thank you, Tracy. And Leanne Griffin, Circular Economy Lead with Arup.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Leanne. I am as Doi just said, the circular economy lead for ANZ for Arup. And yeah, I have a long history working with the ecologiQ program. I was a former employee of ecologiQ, and I've kind of back supporting the program as well. So yeah, very keen and to see some of the broader circular opportunities that maybe we might hear about today.
Thanks, Leanne. So just the format for today and a little bit of housekeeping. You'll hear 3 presentations from our business here today. We'll start off with Green Collect, and I think Roby and Darren will be taking you through that. You'll then hear from Luke from Tag Shield. He'll talk to you about that great product. And then last but not least, Brad Scott from Transmutation will talk to you about what they're doing there for their products and also from perhaps a Micro Recyclers Association perspective. So as a rough guide, we ask that our presenters sort of present for 10 minutes, and then we'll have a 10-minute open for Q&A from the panelists to ask our presenters any questions. For those in the audience, if you do have any questions, pop them into the Q&A function or in the chat function in Zoom. So and all I ask is that if you can direct those questions to the presenter, and then whilst they're not presenting, they'll hop into the chat function and be able to answer your questions online. So please feel free to pop your questions in there. And if we have time at the end, we'll see if we can even take some questions in an open format. So without further delay, I now introduce the virtual mic and hand it over to Roby and Darren from Green Collect. Take it away.
Thanks, Doi. Thanks, everyone. I too, before we start, want to acknowledge that we are coming to you from Wurundjeri country. And we're actually right on the border of Wurundjeri and the Bunurong people and the Kulin Nation. So in Maribyrnong, near the Maribyrnong River, we're in Braybrook. And I really resonate with what you had said in your introduction, Doi, around circular economy as part of an extension of the wisdom and the lifestyles that First Nations people have adopted, and that we can learn a lot from the way they went about their connection with country and the use of resources and materials and their interconnection with people and planet, waters, airs, etc. Enough of that. So introducing Green Collect. I'm co-founder and Chief Impact and Finance Officer at Green Collect. Jump to the next slide, please, Doi. We are a non-profit social enterprise certified by Social Traders and registered ACNC charity. We've been delivering high social impact and circular economy outcomes in Melbourne since 2002. And pioneers in both the circular economy and social enterprise sectors. We specialise in full life cycle services where we create new jobs and new green jobs for people who experience disadvantage in the workforce, particularly complex barriers to training and work. We've been creating outcomes for government, corporations and local governments since inception. And part of that is that we're really deeply committed to inclusive work practices, so that holistic thing. And we talk about the circular economy, but one of the things that is more emerging that resonates with us probably more so that the circular economy fits within is the donut economy, where we look at people and planet and how that all fits. So I won't go into the donut right now, but that is something that I'm very passionate about. And that's part of what our solutions are around delivering health for both people and planet to thrive. Part of the circular economy is what we do is that so that items have the best chance of entering the circular economy, we collect items at end of use, and we sort and assess for the highest reuse value outcome, and through which we create employment and trainings for people from priority cohorts. So that's a bit of a flip on what we used to do. We used to say we collect, sort and sell, but as people know who are practitioners in circular economy, you actually need the outcome to achieve the circular economy versus we can collect things, but we really need these practices like the ecologiQ framework to actually facilitate the circular economy in terms of purchasing things that are reused or recycled content. So the things we do through creating circular economy through reuse, we facilitate sustainable and social procurement through selling high quality secondhand products. And through our stores, we also have products that are made from recycled content and promoting waste-free living. One of the main things that we do is with furniture. So we have circular furniture outcomes where we collect redundant and surplus office furniture and appliances, where we create outcomes through the cleaning, cataloguing, minor repairs in terms of refurbishment and repairing that creates meaningful employment for our beneficiary staff. And as an outcome, there's quality secondhand furniture available for our customers to procure. We create circular economy through repurposing. Each year we collect over 50,000 folders from office environments, and we reuse, repurpose or recycle each of those products. So one of the sort of a niche product we have is the notebook that's made from this content, which we would argue is the most sustainably sourced notebook on the planet, that's created from repurposed and reused materials and creates local jobs here in Melbourne. We create circular solutions through capturing value at end of use. So we have solutions for over 100 types of surplus and office or redundant office items, where we have systems where we prioritise reuse, repair, or the 10 Rs, so part of the 10 Rs of the circular economy, prioritising reuse, repair, refurbishment, etc. Systems that retain the highest R value. We don't like the word waste. We see everything as a valuable resource. And so we really like to change the narrative on that around even resource recovery in that way, but it's around really harnessing the products and materials that we have in circulation. Creating circular economy through training. We've created the first credentialed circular economy skills training course for particularly for people on the fringes or margins or re-entering work. We did that through funding from the Victorian Government, and now that's available as an accredited and non-accredited training pathway. So that the course that we created is now available through TAFEs and delivered through RTOs, but we can also deliver that to your constituents or your staff or whatever group around introducing the circular economy principles and practices, for example. Part of that is like rethinking waste management or rethinking waste as even a concept. What have we achieved? So last year we collected 270 tonnes of products from offices and households, and 59% of that we were able to find a reuse outcome for through sales, through outlets and through partnerships with other charity and community groups that help facilitate people in need and communities in need. And you can see there that the savings through reuse are significantly better than recycling outcomes. Not that recycling's bad, but reuse clearly is part of those sort of thinking actually makes quite a lot. Like it's keeping those resources how they were initially produced and manufactured. And the types of items that we've been collecting to date, furniture is our biggest, both by volume and weight. And then we have household items, office items, folders as a separate unit, and IT and electrical. Green Collect is a circular enterprise. So through our stores, services and skills provide tangible ways for Victoria to transition towards a circular economy. We remove barriers to employment for at-risk young people, people with disability and people from refugee backgrounds, and people who identify as LGBTQI+ community. So people who are on the margins, we put in the line first. And through engaging with Green Collect, your supply chain deepens both your social impact but also your circular economy outcomes. In terms of our social impacts, we have 96 staff last year, 56 of whom were from priority cohorts. And since inception, we've paid over $4 million in wages to people from disadvantaged backgrounds, which I'm pretty proud of. Actually, I think that's quite something that, very proud of. And from here, I'm going to introduce Roby as part of our sales team, who will go through our services and how you may be able to engage with Green Collect in through creating these circular outcomes. Take it away, Robes.
Cheers, Daz. First up, we'll talk about our business services. So Green Collect offer a range of business services that responsibly move on unwanted items, all the while supporting your ESG targets. Our circular recycling stations are the perfect collection solution for your staff, for those hard to dispose of items like IT devices, cameras, USB sticks, mice, radios, mobile phones, handsets, headphones, literally anything that you would find on your desk. We also collect various media, light globes, even x-rays. So we run this service primarily through councils at the moment, but we do see this as a great starting point to grow into commercial properties and into businesses. And with our circular consult and workshops, we ran a pilot project in 2024 that Darren spoke about, the circular capabilities package supported by the Victorian Government. We did manage to deliver these through a number of small local businesses through a 6-week course, focusing on changing our ways and our attitudes towards circular economy through 3 main steps: sustainable procurement, extended life cycles, and solutions to keeping things in circulation through services like ours when you're done with them. Next slide, please. We also offer office clearouts, or as we like to call them, cage trolley collections. In that photo, we've got Matt. He'll deliver your cages, you guys fill them up, and then we'll come and collect them, process them back in the warehouse for the most sustainable outcome, whether it is reuse, recycling, remanufacture. We do upcycle a number of items into different products, which is really exciting as well. I would speak a little bit more in detail in the next 2 slides, but essentially our furniture disposal and furniture fit out services are a good representation of the complete circular package. So Green Collect's furniture disposal service simplifies the moving process, all the while keeping negative environmental impacts to an absolute minimum. Our focus on reuse and recycling outcomes create meaningful work for priority cohorts every step of the way, while simultaneously delivering an industry-leading 95+% resource recovery rate. All of these impacts are reported in detail at the conclusion of each project, and this is only made possible by our vital partnerships with other charities and community groups, especially within the Inner West. Engaging Green Collect in your office move is an extremely socially and environmentally responsible decision. Furthermore, our strong commitment to keeping furniture within the circular economy provides a strong platform to deliver sustainable, fashionable, and socially conscious office fit-outs. Next slide, please, Dewey. Over the years, we've provided numerous circular fit-out solutions for projects across Melbourne. One that stands out would have to be our involvement in John Holland's Chadstone project, where in early 2024, we provided substantial quantities of pre-loved furniture to fit out on-site cribs. John Holland then re-engaged us earlier this year to collect and once more provide circular outcomes for this furniture. This recollection involved sorting substantial quantities of furniture, designating them for various sustainable outcomes. Functional and high-quality pieces were able to be resold, while lower quality units were either donated to other charities or broken down and recycled. Recent advancements in technology have allowed us to achieve recycling outcomes for melamine and particle board components, which have historically been a real thorn in our sides. We've also fitted out cribs for Kane Construction, while completing designer level fit outs for medical clinics, charities, schools, museums, and corporate offices. Creating tangible social and environmental impact doesn't have to be complicated. Green Collect's unique service allows businesses to take meaningful steps towards achieving ESG and social procurement targets, while simultaneously fulfilling furniture needs at an extremely competitive price point. Our broad range of immediately available furniture allows us to fit out vastly dynamic spaces with minimal lead-in time. Whether it's construction crib, waiting room, open plan office, or executive suite, Green Collect's got you covered. Our friendly team quickly assess your requirements and put together detailed procurement plans for your space before delivering furniture at your earliest convenience. So yeah, feel free to, if you've got any questions at all, we've just launched our new business membership, which includes 15% off and early access to all of our new furniture drops. We're constantly getting new furniture in, so that's a really great opportunity to engage to get the best furniture that we've got. That's all I've got from my end.
Thanks, Roby. I think I now open up to our panelists. Perhaps I'll kick off with Tracy. I know there's something that is probably a bit of a passion area of yours. Tracy, do you want to open the floor?
Yeah, look, thanks, Joy, and thanks everyone for the presentation. Yeah, I was talking to Joy prior to this, and I said for us, we know it's definitely one area that we struggle with. So particularly office furniture, we do seem to repurchase every time we do a site setup. In terms of how, I guess, our projects are quite agile. They're obviously short term. Do you offer kind of any cost arrangements that perhaps we can, donate materials back, kind of savings on the way in, rentals, or any of that kind of to make the offering a bit kind of cost competitive for us? It's really annoying that we keep buying brand new furniture every time we set up.
Oh, no, and that's something that we've been working with a number of different groups on around that. Part of the purchase price is the collection price, so
Yeah.
it's like there is that loop, so that it's acknowledging that it is a challenge, and we also acknowledge that it's kind of ridiculous that for the short-term projects,
Yeah.
new furniture is being bought, and often it's probably not of great quality. So what we find is that the furniture that we get through the corporate things are of high quality, and so they do last longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, it's something that we're definitely open to working around. And partly our price is so competitive that it is cheaper anyway to just purchase and have that return mechanism in it. So all of these conversations are part of looking at what's the time frame, what's the lead time.
Yeah.
Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? So all of those factors come into play, because obviously the longer it's on site, the potential reusability probably diminishes. So there's all those sorts of factors. But yes, is the short answer. We can work with you.
Yeah, look, definitely, and I think there's definitely some contractors on the call here, so I hope they reach out after this. We'd love to see some of those initiatives on the projects.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is that this ticks both your social procurement requirements as well as the ecologic sort of recycle requirements. So it's a bit of a double-edged outcome.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks, Tracy. The panelists first to unmic. Sven.
Yeah, first of all, a comment, not a question. I think what you're doing is really great. Bringing people together who have a need to acquire something, and people who have access. I think there's a quote out there that a waste is just a resource we're too stupid to use, and you're proving that right, and you're living this. So there's a lot to love there, I think. Just one question: Do you have a sort of a brick and mortar retail store that I could walk in if I wanted something for my home and have a look around? Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So on the previous slide, it's got our address in Ashley Street, Braybrook.
Ah yes.
So
yes, excellent.
Yeah. So yes, and we invite anyone to come out and visit and have a chat, look at what we've got. Obviously, the stock is quite circular because it comes and goes. So what we have today may not be here next month. So that's part of the, I suppose, the challenge of get in while it's here. We've also got the website. So if there are things that you like the look of and want to come and see, that's certainly available as well.
Oh, excellent. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. Leanne.
Yeah, thank you. So I think, I mean, there's a couple of things here that I kind of wanted to unpack a little bit. So, I mean, this seems like a fairly straightforward solution, but it's not something that we know doesn't happen as much as it should. So I'm interested to understand a little bit more about what, from your personal experience, what the main barriers are that's stopping this type of reuse of, these consumable goods that can really, there's no reason why they can't just be reused as is, from a technical perspective. And then what needs to happen broadly to unlock the opportunity further?
There's a number of challenges. I think within the, say the cribs, for example, for some of the bigger projects, it's changing the business as usual practice for the procurement people or the people designing the cribs and the fit out. One of our early experiences with one of the bigger projects was that the engineers had drawn up, this is what we want, and this is how we want the layout to look like. And we went back and said, well, we don't have that exact desk in that shape or that form, but we have these alternates. And I think that was too hard for their brains to pivot. And so that's part of what we try to say is come to us first. We can provide you with options, and what we can't provide, then there are other solutions. But we've now sort of creating a bit more of a network so that it's not just us, it's that there's other secondhand providers that we can access furniture from. So because we actually really do want to fulfill and make it a bit simpler for organisations to achieve the circular economy through reusing furniture. And so we recognise that we may not have everything that you need for your crib, or office fit out or whatever it might be, but we're working with other partners so that there's a bigger portfolio of goods which we can work. But it really came down to past practices of, it's too hard to go through and pick it. We just want to go, these are our requirements. If you can fulfill it, great, tick. Otherwise, see you later. Yeah. So that was the biggest challenge we had in some of the earlier interactions we've had with some of the big infrastructure projects. There's a couple of experiences. I won't name names, but it's part of that progression. And I think everyone who's been involved in creating circular products through recycled content or not, it really is getting through the hoops of who's making the decisions and what has gone before, and change. People don't like change. Yeah, it's rethinking and changing your practices really around procurement.
Mm-hmm. I just have a follow-up question around storage. Where do you store everything, and kind of what do you do when you have overflow, and how does that all kind
of? Good question. We do have a big warehouse here in Braybrook, so the images there with that we've got, that's at the front of the warehouse. That we've got a 1,200 square metre warehouse with racking, so we can hold a fair amount. But that is one of those challenges, and the constant challenge of, do we have enough? What's coming in? How do we get it out? And again, that's working with other partners around sort of looking at partnerships around who needs furniture, and it's other groups as well. So it's not just sort of selling the high quality stuff to groups that are procuring it. We also provide furniture to people who are re-entering housing. So there's a number of charities we work with that need furniture for their purposes as well. So we've got a number of outlets, but it is a challenge. it'd be a good challenge to have too
Yeah.
much stuff, but we don't want to create the liability where we've got a warehouse full of furniture that doesn't move.
Just, yeah, like you just
Basically.
have a big stockpile, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sorry, Doy, I've got one more follow-up as well, and then what kind of so you've got your shop, you've got your physical shop and you've got your online shop. Do you use any other platforms to kind of spread the word so that people can find the products and
Yeah, look, they're the things that we're trying to tap into. So including the ecologiQ and others, like what are the various platforms that groups go to? Obviously, social traders is one for the social procurement aspect. So we're definitely open to being introduced to any platforms that groups use or are familiar with, to start spreading the word and getting that broadening the reach.
Okay, great, cool.
Thank you, panelists. And just one comment as someone who has organised for Green Collect to do an IT collection probably 7 or 8 years ago now at a 121 exhibition in the city. If you know that building, it's probably the most difficult building to get into. It can be done, so if you can organise third parties to get in there. So I encourage those in the audience to maybe challenge your building managers, procurement, and or waste disposal, or any of those areas, and even your designers and office fit outs, because I think these things should be done as a BAU and not as an exception. So yeah, I'd like to thank the team from Green Collect for presenting today and our panelists. And yeah, appreciate those comments. And hopefully you hear from the audience soon. And if not, I think you can catch Green Collect at our 2025 ecologiQ conference later this month. So thanks, Darren. Thanks, Roby. I now invite Luke to come and have a chat to you about Tag Shield, which is a very nifty innovation that I came across earlier this year. Luke, take it away.
Thanks very much, Doyen. Morning, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity. If the name doesn't give it away, our purpose is to reduce the amount of graffiti in our communities and across our cities. Tag Shield itself is a new entity. We haven't installed product yet, but will shortly, in partnership with the DTP and the state government. They've been very encouraging of our progress, and in fact have assisted with our research and development over the last 18 months or 2 years or so. Thanks, Doy. So our mission is to enhance the appeal of our cities by tackling graffiti differently. And we're talking innovation and thinking of graffiti differently. Graffiti occurs because the people who want to leave their mark are advertisers. Their purpose is to have as many people as possible see their brand as they can. And this is the fundamental reason why graffiti appears, well, it can appear on the sides of buildings, but what we're talking mostly about today is, roadways, freeways, the rail corridors. This is where graffiti ends up, because this is where the peer group of the people that deface our cities are going to see it. The underlying issue, of course, is graffiti attracts graffiti. Some spaces can become quite competitive, but we want to attack graffiti from a very different perspective. The challenge with graffiti today is that there isn't really anything that discourages graffiti. There's a lot of solutions that we can, paint over the top and treat surfaces, but all they do is aid removal. They don't break this continuous cycle that the whole world is actually stuck in graffiti removal. So we want to change that. We want to improve the sense of safety and amenity in our public spaces. Graffiti can make some spaces feel unsafe and will discourage people from growing. It definitely has a negative impact on amenity. Environmental sustainability, of course, we've considered that in our manufacturing, but it's not just the materials reuse, it's the cost of cleaning. The chemicals that can be used or applied to our surface to prevent graffiti, the amount of waste paint cans that end up in the landscape and in our rivers and streams because the people who are doing this have zero respect for the environment or where their rubbish ends up. So there's lots and lots of good reasons for reducing graffiti in our community. So the objective is to design graffiti out of our major infrastructure. We want to do that through the use of surfaces that are not suitable for graffiti. So again, if we come back to the essence of why a surface gets tagged, it's because the taggers know their message will be seen there. So what we've been targeting, and this has been an ongoing journey of ours for some years now, it actually started back probably pre-COVID with Monash University helping us out with the use of colours and schemes and things. But anyway, so we've landed on two elements that we think are really important. Complexity of surface. So this is already proven in our infrastructure. So anybody familiar with Peninsula Link, use some sound walls down there that are far less suited to graffiti than others. The Eastern Freeway, although it's in parts very old now, they've had some old rock surfaces that were less suitable graffiti. So we have in part done it over many, many years. But what we're hoping to do is to encourage people to think more broadly and where the use of surfaces can impact legibility. And that's the one thing we've been focusing on. The theme is if nobody's going to see the tag, then the tag's less likely to happen. Thanks, Doi. We'll show you the next slide. So this is the product. This is Tag Shield. I said from the previous slide might give you some guide as to how we got to this design. But what we wanted to do was not have any smooth, straight, flat surfaces. That's the first thing. This is our final iteration. We actually made some early iteration that had the mountain peaks and so on, if you like, but we found that if we didn't integrate the channels that are quite sharp, that the tagging would still be legible. So these panels will be made, there will be 1 metre square, about 140 millimetres high. How they work is actually really cool in reality. If you were to paint this panel, which we have no doubt will happen initially, anything new people will still test out and try and of course try and defeat. We've learned that if you move off centre, a few degrees off centre, whatever's painted on this product becomes illegible. And when we get to the next slide, you'll see that. But manufactured from recycled plastic, we want to minimise waste as much as we can. These will be incredibly lightweight, only about 4 or 5 kilos each. They will be able to made in any colour you like. We're not going to talk too much about colour today, but colour can actually have a big influence on graffiti and brightening spaces and making them more fun. There is, yes, lots of good reasons to use colour. I believe the first ones we'll do will be probably in bridge grey, which is a standard DTP colour. But yeah, we'll be able to make them in any colour you like. Thanks, Doi. If you could click this will just show you how it works.
Can you hear the audio? Sorry.
There's only background music.
Okay.
So you notice the paint's running. That's absolutely intentional. We've been working very hard on using polymer formulas that promote run. It's another reason. Yeah, so you can see once you get to a certain a certain angle, you won't even see what's been defaced or the message that the tag is used to deface the surface. So yeah, we've been spending a lot of time, probably 2 years or more, on the polymer we're going to use in these panels. And again, if we believe that if we can get a slippery surface that the paint will have problems sticking to, and the complexity of the panel, those two together will just make it too hard for taggers and they'll go elsewhere. In terms of the applications, look, the use is really quite broad. I know we're talking about road and rail specifically, and that's what we've been targeting from the outset. But these really can be used in many, many applications. Retaining walls, sound walls, underpass, anything where you've got structural supports that are prone to graffiti or bill posting too. We actually, when we were developing this, we hadn't thought of bill posting, but Ventia, who are one of DTP's maintenance partners, have been fabulous in working with us to help develop this. And you know, if bill posting's a problem, nobody's going to try and put bill posters off the top of a panel like this. It's just too complex, and it'll fail you before you know it. Understanding that there's people on the call that might not be from road and rail. Do have some other things in the winds and have lots of ideas for how to combat graffiti. So, you know, if you have another application that doesn't look like it fits here, I'm happy for anybody to reach out. My details will be at the end. Happy for you to reach out and ask a question, because graffiti's it's a global problem, and I know lots of local government have it really. You know, if you're anywhere in the city or in the urban areas, chances are you've got graffiti challenges. Thanks, Doy. So installation, they have not been designed to be butt joined, but they could be. Again, learning from our discussions with DTP and Ventia, that they will be installed with gaps between them. Most likely method of fixing will be bonded anchors or a construction adhesive or a combination of both. But we understand that where we're installing on existing infrastructure, that the maintenance crew still need to do their maintenance and their regular inspections. So we don't want to cover all the walls, so we won't be installing over any existing cracks. And there'll be gaps, again, between the panels, probably of somewhere between 50 and 100 mil, so that the maintenance crew can still do what they need to do and see what they need to see. So the value proposition is incredibly high, and even more so if we can look at these sorts of solutions for new infrastructure. The numbers we've done, if a surface is going to be defaced between 4 and 8 times over its life cycle, then we should be looking at treating the surface so it doesn't get defaced. Like again, in road and rail, graffiti in some places can be both incredibly disruptive and incredibly dangerous. You know, it appears on gantries and overheads, which means that, you know, these people are working at heights. And removal can be very disruptive and involve lane closures and those sorts of things. So in some environments, while graffiti removal can be, you know, $10 or $15 a square metre to do, over the life of the infrastructure, which could be 30 years, you know, the cost of maintenance of graffiti adds up considerably. Like, it's a huge burden, and it's just so unnecessary. So our absolute commitment to recycled first, when we started this process a few years ago, we were adamant we only wanted to use recycled materials. We're fortunate that there's a lot of great manufacturers here in Victoria who can help us achieve that. This is going to be a Victorian product manufactured here in Victoria. And ultimately, in time, our plan is to export globally. You know, we have quite big plans for it. It's a unique product. We actually already have some good interest in it from overseas as well. So as I said, we're going to use recycled product. The product will be recyclable at end of life, which will be 30 years, but for whatever reason, if there's a change prior to that, doesn't have to go into landfill, it can be recycled again. The bond and anchors for fixing can be recycled as well, they're metal. There'll be nothing from this that will go into waste. Yes, thank you. And Doy, the last one, just to close out, if you want to follow our progress, again, to those from DTP, there's a few on the call. Thank you very much. Your people have been amazing in helping us in our development and ticking off all the things we've needed to do. But they've also been generous. We've got 10 sites that have been allocated to us for our first installs in the western and northern suburbs of Melbourne that'll be happening. I'd love to say before Christmas, but probably very early in the new year. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can. If you want to follow our pilot, please do. We've got some web pages tracking our progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luke. Well, with DTP, I might open with Sven. I wonder if you've heard of this project before today,
Yeah.
or any comments?
I hadn't heard of it before, but yeah, I like the clever combination of materials and design. With respect to the materials, Luke, since it's from recycled, you said it's a special polymer formulation. Is that somewhat forgiving? So can you allow for slight variance in raw materials coming in? Does that still work, or?
Yes, we're just fine-tuning that at the moment, Sven. The hardest thing to do is to get the combination of polymers and additives right. There will be some additives, and of course some colors and things like that. We suspect that when the first product will probably use 80% recycled content, 20% additives, and that'll again allow for the color, the fire resistance, and some additives we want to promote paint run.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's a durable property of the material, or is that something that
Yes.
might? Yeah.
Yeah, the intent is this will be a single step manufacturing process. So we could make these from out of something like a HDPE, you know, with the UV and color fast, but we didn't want to make them as economical as possible. We wanted manufacturing to be a single step process. And again, we didn't want to promote treatments or, you know, coatings or anything like that. Because if they're a core element of the product, they'll last for the life of the product too and won't ever have to be reapplied.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Sven. Leanne.
Yeah, just probably a quick one for me. So you said that you took a while to develop the mold and the design. Can you
Yep.
just kind of how did you get to that final how did you decide on that final kind of mix? That final design.
So just to help answer that, just for context, so by profession, I'm not actually a graffiti guy. I'm a professional security consultant. So part of my work is I've been fighting, battling, coming up with solutions for graffiti for years and years and years. But and this came about because we couldn't find anything that actually stops graffiti. We only find products that aid removal, and this is a global problem, not just an Australian one. But part of our study, Leanne, was I live in the eastern suburbs near the Eastern Freeway. We studied a length of the Eastern Freeway and noted what services were being tagged, what weren't. We've also documented literally hundreds of cases through our work all over Australia. Again, just learning why is a surface defaced. and why isn't another one? And yeah, as I suggested at the start, the underlying issues are surface suitability and visibility of the surface. Those two things, that's almost the formula. The other ones are accessibility. So if the surface can be accessed, and we've seen with Birdman here that access can mean different things to different people. And he's an abseiler, so he could get to anywhere. But yes, there's many hundreds of examples we've referenced, Leanne. Sorry, long answer to a short question, but to how we got to where we got to.
Thank you. Last but not least, Tracy.
Yeah, and thanks for the presentation. It is always something that we do kind of, we particularly in our space, we do the delivery, then we run away and we leave that to DTP and Vientia. So you do often forget about the maintenance issue, the risk, the safety, the closure. And for me, carbon minded, already thinking about the cost and the cost of carbon in that process of lane closures and plant equipment to tidy spaces up.
Yeah.
We might have some partners on the call from our health divisions. Just wondering around kind of health, hospitals, buildings, other kind of community service spaces. Is that an area you guys have looked into or been asked to kind of review kind of similar style and thinking of your model?
Yeah, we have. I said Tag Shield, as you've seen it today, may not be a good fit for occupied buildings. Well, not yet anyway. There's going to be a whole lot of certifications we're going to need to go to from a, fire rating perspective.
Yeah.
Just being mindful of the cladding issues. But there may be other solutions, Tracy, that we can suggest. Like there's even, just to give you an idea, there's a cafe that have an external structure near where I live. They use fake ivy, and it
Yep.
is fantastic. It can be bought for a dollar or two a square meter. It's super lightweight, easy to fix, and it stops the tagging. So again, if anybody's got some problems, please just reach out, and I may be able to even suggest something.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, panelists, and thank you, Luke. So, yeah, we'll be tracking the development of Trade Shield, and I think we're catching you at the conference as well. So,
For sure. Thanks, Doy.
thank you. Now, last but not least, we have Brad from Transmutation, who I actually presented a couple of years ago at the showcase, but now I'm really keen to catch up with Brad because I think there's been a few major developments since then, but I won't steal your thunder. Brad, over to you.
Thanks, Dory. Yeah, everyone, as it says there, we help recyclers, brands, and manufacturers turn their waste into next generation products. So we are all about accreditation with our plastic. So you'll see we've got the term re-engineering there. The polymers we're making are very high quality, very consistent. And to sort of Luke's point before, we make them out of all raw material that was going to landfill, so waste, if you like. But I'm very interested in the additives that are already embedded in the plastics that I use. So it's not just a case of plastics being mixed together and collected. It's also what the additives are that were already in the plastic. So I'm basically making up a resin and reverse engineering those resins, if you like, to what you require for your properties. And the majority, if not all, of the additives that are in that have come from the already embedded in the resource that I'm using. So very small amount of any virgin material that I would need to make the whole thing work. And in some cases, there's no virgin material at all. So we're really focused on the 100% recyclate that we make the stuff out of. And we sort of fit into an area here. No, it's all right, Doy. Thank you. We fit in this area where we can either take things all the way through the supply chain from raw material to manufacture to sale, or we can jump in at any stage and do parts of that supply chain. So I'm going to take you through a couple of products that we do at the moment. When I was on here a couple of years ago, it was just one bar chair, which we'll get to, which was our minimum viable product. So we've expanded our range and also our diversity just to show what we can do. What we're looking at here is reconstituted limestone blocks. So these are limestone blocks basically put back together from quarry waste from cement and aggregate. So the standard product is being made at Jaffa Limestone, which is just down the road from where I am in Robe, South Australia. So it's about 30 k's away. It's a quarry, limestone quarry that's already been used, and we're basically using the remnants of that quarry with the limestone. The cement, with our particular product that we're helping Jaffa Limestone produce, we are reducing the carbon in the cement by using slag as well. And then with the aggregate, we're using our aggregate. So we've come up with an aggregate that's got pretty much carbon neutral, but it's a safe aggregate to use in this application, and it reduces the carbon footprint over this whole brick by about 30 to 40%. So we currently have manufactured the bricks. You see them there being used. We're doing the testing at the moment. We've done initial testing that shows that the MPI of this brick goes from 6 to 10. So it's actually increasing the strength of the brick. It's reducing the carbon, and it's currently about 4 months into an EPD, so 12-month period for the EPD. So that'll give us the full life cycle analysis of the carbon emissions. We're estimating about 30 to 40% less than a standard brick. And also it's lighter weight. So the other testing we're getting done is thermal properties and acoustics, because we also believe that the plastic aggregate we're using improve all of those qualities. So pretty much we're getting improvements in all of the property matrix, if you like. You don't see any difference in the visual aesthetic, so still looks like a beautiful limestone brick, but we're improving it with our plastic aggregate. So how we source our aggregate as well, from Victoria. We're getting e-waste, we're using soft plastic waste, and we're also using automobile waste as well. So from a chemical point of view, I'm tending to get the hard to recycle thermoset plastics that you can't heat and recycle, and using it in this particular application as an aggregate. Next slide. So I mentioned before the bar chairs. So people have seen these around the construction industries. They're little hats that hold up the reinforcing mesh in a concrete slab. So when we first started, the one on the left there is the 50-65 mil bar chair. That's our original product that we brought to market. So all of these chairs are made from my trademark resin, which is called post-prime plastic. So that's a registered trademark for our resin. It's created from Dulux powder coating waste. So powder coating waste from the Dulux factory in Dandenong, agricultural waste all from Victorian farmlands and processed, and the 11 secret herbs and spices. So we have a patent pending on our resin and how we're creating that. But basically, I can reverse engineer that resin as well to get particular attributes, for example, high impact or UV or any other sort of attributes you need for your final product. We can start at the end, if you like, and work our way back, and then I can put different ingredients of raw materials together to get that. So what we've achieved, in essence, and now at scale, is the ability to take a whole lot of different recycled plastic waste, which increases, obviously, the throughput and the amount of material we can get our hands on, and create a single consistent resin at the other end. So whether you want 100 kilos, 1 ton, 20 tons, 100 tons, you're going to get the same consistent pellet at the other end. So that's really the secret sauce, if you like, of what we've been able to come through with our patent process. Because when we're talking about recyclate previously, one of the big things restricting recyclate is the consistency of the resin or the pellet or the flake. So if you have high quality materials that they're using, you might get a ton or whatever and 2 tons, and then someone says, okay, I want 100 tons of it. Then you couldn't produce that depending on you're pulling through the material. So now what we're saying is we're pulling through multiple feedstocks and able to give you the 100, 200 tons, and it's going to be the same through your machine as the first ton is. So it makes a big difference from a manufacturing point of view, where if you're using traditional injection molding methods, your machine's not going to be interfered with through contamination or any sort of particulate coming through the matter. So that's a big deal for us. the three examples you see there, we now have, which is the 50-65 mil, the 40-25 mil, and the other one's a panel chair, the odd looking one at the back, and that's for tilt slab walls when you're putting those up. So these are our range that we make at Robe in South Australia in our own factory. So pretty much those products we are going all the way through from waste material, processing, resin, manufacturing, and sale. And at the moment, they feature on 3 John Holland projects in New South Wales. Next slide, Dor. We're really excited about this one too. So this actual product is a wheel stop, as you can see, but it's also just entered into a patent pending process by the company that I've designed it for, which is Park Agility. So they've commissioned Transmutation to come up with basically something that can embody their Internet of Things sensing devices, if you think of it that way. So yes, it's a wheel stop, but if you have a look at the top left, you'll see the technology that they've developed. So this company is the leading company in Australia with technology in parking facilities, if you like. So everyone's aware of the lights that you get and the signage you get at some of the car parks that say here's how many car parks are free, and they're notoriously inaccurate. This company is 99 point something % accurate because of the sensing equipment that it uses and the different infrared and cameras and LIDAR sort of sensors it uses and where it puts them. So what I've done for them and what they've asked me to do is design a wheel stop that can embed their technology into it. It just clips in. It can protect that technology whilst also acting in its job as a wheel stop, which is, takes quite a bit of pounding, if you like, from tyres and other such things. So we've designed this to be super strong. It's made out of my post-prime plastic, so therefore carbon neutral in that essence. The full life cycle of the wheel stop's currently being going through an EPD. So we're probably only about 2 months off the EPD being published for that. So post-prime has an EPD as well, which tells us we're about 72% less carbon through the entire life cycle than a virgin plastic wheel stop using this material. So we're going to be up around the 80-90%, we believe, with the EPD, particularly for the wheel stop. So the exciting thing about this is there are 2 variations of it. You'll notice in the one on the bottom there, in the middle, you'll see the little panel, if you like, where the sensor, if you like, is looking out. That can just become a flat plastic panel for a standard wheel stop, and then the smart wheel stop's obviously got the technology in it. So the advantage of that is you can have 3 variations of a car park. You can have a car park with standard wheel stops at a very competitive price in the market. So it's a super strong plastic wheel stop that is made out of our post-prime resin. And so, it's got a whole lot of benefits just as a standard wheel stop. Then you've got a hybrid car park where you could have most of the car parks as standard. And let's say your electric vehicle car spaces could have the technology in it. So you know exactly when the EV spaces are free or not free and what's in there for booking. And then you can have a fully digitized car park with the technology in all of the wheel stops. So we're very excited that a major project in Western Sydney is about to have these installed next month. So that's very, very good for us. And we'll be doing a lot of publicity off the back of that once they get installed. But that's a fully digitized through a 2,000 wheel stop car park. So at every 10 seconds, basically Park Agility, our partners, know exactly what's going on in that car park and feed that information back to the customer. So that's the sort of area we're getting into. We really like the fact with the high-tech Internet of Things embedding technology mixed with this 100% sort of Australian-bred recycler. It combines a whole lot of different things at the innovation side for us. So I'll, leave it on that one. That's fine, Doy. So if anyone's got any questions about what we do and how we do it, it's hard to put it in a nutshell because some jobs we're just doing simple sort of consultancy. So others we're taking all the way through. We've also started the Australian Micro Recyclers Association, which Doy alluded to earlier. So that's a collection of micro recyclers all around Australia We assist, instead of a franchise type model, it's basically a collaborative model where we'll help small businesses get into small scale recycling, decentralized recycling all over Australia. And they're all at varying degrees of size and scale. We have people in their garage, doing key rings that are being sold to zoos around Australia, to other ones doing commercial fit outs for bathrooms and kitchens and boardrooms as well with furniture, and ourselves, of course, doing this stuff for big projects in Western Sydney. So it's a whole variety of businesses out there, and we basically help all of them get to be successful in a viability sense in Australia. And the benefit I get out of that as well is having that network of capability that's out there as well, and it's growing. So yeah, I'll turn over to questions from anyone.
Thank you, Brad. Any questions from our panelists to kick off with? Sven?
Can I just ask, the concrete bar chairs is probably one of these things that the average person out there gives zero thought to, but that I suspect are required in absolutely massive quantities. Would you be able to have any estimate on what the market for concrete bar chairs is in Australia?
Yeah, well, it's huge. I haven't got the figures, but where I sit deliberately is in the niche of what the concrete bar chair does. So because they are so prevalent everywhere, you can get them a dime a dozen produced, virgin, recycled all over Australia. So where we are completely different, if you like, is that is the only plastic bar chair in Australia with an EPD, believe it or not. And I'm sure hopefully that changes in the future. But I'm the only one that's gone to that extent with a full life cycle analysis. So if you're a large tier 1, for example, and you have to report your scope 1, scope 2, and then coming into scope 3, I provide that data for this product for them. So it's not only the strongest plastic bar chair on the market in Australia, it's the only one produced with full provenance, so you can see exactly where all of the plastic has come from with that little QR code that we have on all of our products, all the way through for the ESG point of view. You've got a full life cycle analysis, a full EPD of data, and as an added bonus to your company, it'll actually hold up the reinforcing mesh as well. So that's how we sort of sell it to the tier 1s, and currently they're into the John Holland project because of that. So if they go and buy a normal bar chair, you might save a couple of cents a bar chair, but you do not get all of the data and all of the other essential stuff for reporting your scope 3 that you get through our product. So we're not aiming at being in Bunnings. We're aiming at the tier 1s who value the data, if you like, that comes with what we're producing, and the accreditation that comes with it as well. By saying that as well, I've also put it into Mitre 10 locally around Robe here. Millicent, Mount Gambier and Narracourt stock these, and that's just to prove a point more than anything, that we can compare with other bar chairs coming in and do a wholesale retail there that works for everyone, and I still make a profit. So that's really to answer the question, as people often ask, what's the cost of it? Is it going to be more expensive? So I can do it at that rate profitably, but I choose not to, if you like. My market is really to charge more for the data that's imbued in that product to the tier 1 market. So that's my niche.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sven. Tracy, as someone who works with a lot of tier 1s, any questions from you?
I think we've just used the bar chairs on one of our projects with a tier 1. So yeah, we were looking into that. In terms of kind of future R&D, probably two parts of this question. Kind of future R&D from you guys and what priority areas you're looking at, but also in terms of that design support and also scalability of future products, where can, beyond the tier 1, so particularly in our road jobs, we go down to kind of tier 2s, 3s and 4s. So how we can kind of get others in with their ideas and that accessibility for future R&D from that point of view.
Yeah, well, we're trying to, we are scaling up, and we basically take a lot of inquiries from lots of different areas. The business will eventually, and when I say eventually, early next year, be run through a PMO. So because I'm having so many sort of variety of products or projects, if you like, that have been asked to do, we'll set it up with a go, no go, and then put it to different areas of my business. So we still want to handle smaller scale jobs as well because of the innovation involved up to the larger. So we're not sort of just defining ourselves in that market at the moment. That market suits through our accreditation side, and that's the people who want and value that at the moment. But we have a whole lot of different inquiries from lots of different places. So for example, we are taking waste powder from a medical sort of application, if you like, and we're applying that into some of our products at the moment. I took a call yesterday from New Zealand about powder coating waste and how we can sort of do jobs through over there as well. So we do take a wide variety of sort of inquiries. We will obviously not be able to do some and just say no, but we want to work with as many parts of the market as we possibly can. So we're very interested in tier 2, tier 3.
Yeah, and again, I'd probably shout out to those on the call. Sounds like a bit of an offer there from Brad to get in touch with any of those ideas, and yeah, hopefully bring them selfishly to a roads project, and we'll be happy to see what we can trial.
Yeah, our biggest issue at the moment is bringing through the market at scale. So we've done a lot of R&D, we've got a lot of products, and we've got a lot of materials ready to go. So yeah, the more the merrier.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks, Tracy. Brad, unfortunately, Leanne had to drop off, but she did have a question that I can ask on her behalf. Her question was, which materials work best in the reverse engineering process, and are there limitations around certain materials?
Definitely limitations around all materials because just of their properties, if you like. So polypropylene is probably the main one that I use, especially for injection molding type applications, but then HDPE for compression molding. I do a fair bit with polystyrene as well. And we're also now looking at polyamide. So to answer the question, whatever the task is that I've been given for the product that I'm making, I will choose from the best material, raw materials, if you like, waste materials that suit the property. So it is a wide variety. Plastics, all plastics ain't plastics, basically. So you've got to know which plastics to look for, which additives are already in the plastics, and then, do you need to add any? What I don't tend to go towards is PET because of the market that's already there. I don't need to compete against standard sort of PET recycling markets. So, and PVC just because of the dangers of that with recycling and chlorine. So pretty much the other plastics, HDPE, LDPE, polypropylene, and polystyrene I'll deal with.
Still all thorny plastics that are stockpiling up in our landfill. So I appreciate it. Thank you. And just I suppose, are you still looking for a Melbourne premise? I think that was.
We are. So I'm actually in the car at the moment. We pulled over, which is nice, but they are heading to Melbourne at the moment to and we'll do quite regularly from now to the end of the year. So we're expanding. We're in a regional town in South Australia where we started 6 years ago. We're now at the stage definitely of needing a footprint in a capital, and it's pretty well locked in. It's going to be Melbourne at this stage. So yes, we're now looking around for partners, locations, ways to get ourselves into there. We want to do a permanent showroom type setup where people can come and have a look at all of the different things in the circular economy. So and do some manufacturing in the back end. So an all-in-one type of store, but it'll have to be sort of semi-industrial.
Fantastic. Thanks, Brad. Well, hopefully, you might generate some business from today's event, or maybe even someone has an idea on where they might be able to help you set up shop. So
that'd be great.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of our 3 key presenters. Now, if you enjoyed, I might start with just Brad Scott from Transportation. Brad will be at the ecologiQ Green Infrastructure Conference. I think he'll be speaking at the Waste Expo platform, so you can catch Brad there in person on the 29th and 30th of October. And Green Collect, I believe, will be exhibiting in the ecologiQ Trade Hall as well. So you can catch, I'm sure, Darren Roby and the team there as well. And my final call out to people in the audience today is, if you enjoyed today's event, there's nothing like getting hands-on and meeting and prospecting and feeling and understanding what the circular economy is and these products and services in person. So please come along to the ecologiQ conference later this month. Tickets are still available for our conference and plenary. So if you want to be at the forefront of the conversations and understand what's happening at the circular economy from not just a policy, but an action and industry level, then a ticket is definitely the best way to ticket event is definitely the best way to get involved and hear from the plenary and understand what's happening there. But otherwise, you can find out more at the QR code there, 29th to 30th of October. If you're only going to go to one conference this year, I reckon it's the best one. Not just because we're organizing it, but because I genuinely believe that what's happening and the lineup that we have is going to be a real sort of move the dial with in this space when it comes to circular economy. And beyond that, we can catch a recording of this on YouTube after the event. ecologiQ actually provides a free knowledge hub, which is a platform of resources, including a supply map and case studies and mythbusters and all sorts of other information that you can find. So reach out to us there at ecologiq@roadprojects.vic.gov.au if you have any queries, and otherwise follow us on LinkedIn, because these days that's probably the socials is the fastest way to find out what's happening. Thank you for coming along to our Innovation Showcase. Please thank our panelists and presenters also virtually, and I'd love to see you all at the conference. Thank you all.